watching Deal Flow, the CNBC Africa show that brings you insights from the continent's deal makers, M&A advisors and CEOs. I'm Erika from Merwe. It's proving to be a busy period for African private equity, with funds across the spectrum announcing deals, big and small. One of these is the acquisition of One Digital Media by a consortium made up of RMB Ventures and Bopa Moruo. Joining me in studio to talk through the deal are Nthime Khoele from Bopa Moruo, Muhammed Moosa from RMB Ventures, and from our Cape Town studio, Andrew Ridl, who's from One Digital Media, the company having been acquired. Welcome. Good to have the whole team here to get the in-depth perspective on that. Mohammed, I'm going to start with you. What drew your attention about this business, One Digital Media?
Thanks very much, Erika. Thanks for having us on the show. Look, I think, to be fair, if you ask most mainstream private equity firms in this market, and we no exception, we tend to be quite opportunistic. So I think we'd be lying if we said we sat around the table and had a strategy and decided to look at the media space. We tend to be quite industry agnostic. If we come across a business that has got a strong position in its market, that's got an interesting market with a solid investment thesis, and most importantly, a passionate and committed management team that wants to buy up alongside us, we take a look. And then from there, we spend months of kind of work and due diligence and getting to understand the industry. So specifically around this one, I mean, there is a story, and Andrew's probably better placed to give you more of the detail, but there is a story around the sort of digitalization of particularly the retail environment in South Africa, which we think has got some legs. I mean, if you walk around just as a consumer, if you walk around in like a Sandton City or a Canal Walk, whether it's banks or cell phone shops or clothing retailers or supermarkets, that digitalization of the signage space is quite a prevalent theme. Yeah. And it was an interesting opportunity to come across what we've seen to be the market leader in that space. And yeah, it was interesting. So we had a look and we liked what we saw.
And Nthime, so you invested with RMB Ventures. RMB Ventures also seeded your fund, so you do think alike. So Muhammad's listed some of the compelling business elements, so the industry story and presumably valuations and so on would have come into that. What about the chemistry? Because in private equity it also requires an alignment, so a mental and a chemical alignment really with management in the business.
Absolutely. Having a quality management team is a cornerstone of private equity investment. And we're no exception to looking for that. So as part of our diligence processes, we spend a lot of time with management, and it's for the chemistry to be established between us, but it's for us to judge them and for them to judge us, because it's a partnership that both sides willingly go into. So we spend a lot of time with Andrew and his team down in Cape Town, and there is a chemistry and a alignment of objectives around what we want to do with the business going forward.
So Andrew, I was bringing you into the conversation. Was this an unsolicited bid, or were you in search of capital, perhaps expansion capital for the business, for your future plans?
I think, Erika, firstly, thanks to my new partners for being so nice about the management team at One Digital Media. We had one of our senior, larger shareholders wanted to exit at the time, and we're quite keen on expanding the business quite a bit. And when we met with RMB and Bopa, I think there was that chemistry. We really get on very well. They're a young team, and they're very much aligned to what we wanted to do. So basically, it was sort of a match made in heaven for us, and we're just incredibly excited about how we can take it forward.
Was it a competitive process? Because I think what's in that question is why would you have accepted this particular bid? A financial buyer, perhaps not a strategic partner that you brought in, but with private equity, you almost know what you're getting. That sort of involvement, the partnership, perhaps looking at governance, guiding you through a regional expansion.
Yeah, I think it was. We did look at other parties, definitely. I think, as I said, I'll go back to the chemistry that we had. I felt that the RMB guys are very much more involved with what we want to do. They're very, very interested in the business. The other guys, the venture capitalist guys, tend to take a viewpoint of you as a bit of a number, and we just got a lot of warmth with the team that we dealt with at RMB at Bopa.
And Nthime, for the future plans for this business, so I understand it's never a matter of just putting the money in and sitting back, so it's involvement, as we've now said. So what are the plans? Perhaps you can't be as detailed, but what is it that needs to be changed? Are there turnaround elements, or is it just an expansion story?
They're not turnaround elements. This is a business that has been constantly doing well the last couple of years. So and historically, it's generated growth, cash flow, and won over market share. We want to continue that. So this is not a turnaround story at all. Part of our mandate in the business is to obviously be an active investor, to grow and consolidate its position, market-leading position locally, and also expansion beyond our borders in the rest of Africa, which is one of the key elements of growth for the business.
Muhammed, perhaps more colour on the industry. In doing this deal, I know there always are risks in the deal-making process, but also just say the next 3 to 5 years. For you, from where you sit in this industry, what are the risks, what are the challenges?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I think it's quite pertinent to our process, because I think one of the things that it's also fair to say about a business in general, but maybe about me in particular, and we've all got our own views as investors, the sort of the intangible around the business was a bit of a challenge.
Explain what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bricks and mortar business. You know, it's an intellectual property business. It's software,
technology.
it's media, it's technology, it's the future.
Yeah.
I mean,
change, a lot of change.
If I look at some of the things that I've invested in the last couple of years, it's been industrials. You can walk around, you can see factories, and there's almost a comfort that comes to investing in a business where things have been done the same for the last 50 years and probably will be done the same for the next 50 years. What was interesting and what's quite exciting about this business is this kind of pace of change. I mean, if you look at the sort of the digital space and the possibilities, if you just take some of the industries like the quick service restaurant industry, a few years ago you didn't see digital menu boards. You know, if you walk into many of the takeaways today, you don't see printed menu boards. You look at digital menu boards. The implications for the future around linking up with social media, and you as a consumer walk into a restaurant and the restaurant you've got a tag on you where they know what you ordered the last time and it flashes up on a screen, and the possibilities are frightening, exhausting, if you're an old-fashioned technophobe like some of us, but exciting, exciting. And if you the sort of the convergence that's happened in the world today means that South Africa is not 10 years behind places like the UK and the US. Things are happening, they're changing fast, the pace of adoption. And retailers, banks, cell phone companies, these are people who are looking to get on the edge. These are competitive markets, and they're all looking for the next big thing, looking at trends. And it's an exciting thing for Andrew and his team, because that's an area where they can talk to their clients and look for opportunities, look at what's happening, what's the next technology out there. And very exciting.
Well, Andrew, give us some more colour. For instance, who are some of your clients? We've heard some of the fast food companies, takeaway businesses that Muhammed referred to. So who are the clients? What is it that you do for them? I just know when I drive home in the Joburg traffic, you see many of these display boards. Would that be an example?
I think so. I think, well, I'll start with digital menu boards. KFC is one of our clients. They'll be completing their complete rollout of all of their stores. So over 740 odd stores, they'll do all of their digital menu boards. And I think everyone's seeing it. It's sort of inevitable that we are going to go this way. Much like we did with the point of sale or POS systems. You used to have old tills which weren't connected. Now those are all completely connected up. And I think the other thing is you can control it from one place. So I can change the price, the menu on 700 different sites on their menu boards within a couple of minutes. I think reaching further out to digital outdoor is you can pretty much do the same. You've just got so many more eyeballs on your screens, and you can manage them centrally. The same's happening in Woolworths, in Spar. They're also using a lot of this, and each time they refurb their stores, we're seeing more and more of this technology going in there. And I think it's natural that we are going to progress, and it's going to evolve towards that. Pretty much like we evolved our advertising when TV started taking over. It'll happen in the stores. It'll link through into your cell phones. So I think the whole omni-channel approach is definitely becoming, gathering a lot more speed.
But Andrew, what are the barriers to entry in this industry? Because, yes, it's quite sophisticated. You've got to know the industry. You've got to have close client relationships. But it's probably not that difficult for a new entrant to come in and start eating your lunch.
No, you are right, Erika. But I think once you're in there with a client and you're doing very well, you tend to stay with them. So it's pretty much like you wouldn't want to change your software across your organization. We provide the same sort of software. We provide all the different services. So it's quite an intricate animal, really, not as simple as people originally think. And I think Muhammed will tell you that as well. When he started looking into the business in detail, that was one of their initial concerns, is how do we protect our space? How do we protect the ground that we've taken? Yeah. But it is there's a lot more to it than simply changing out software.
Right. And to me, this might be more of an operational question, but asking you about the African expansion. So presumably One Digital Media at this stage is only in South Africa, just correct me if I'm wrong, but with the expansion, which countries are you targeting, and what is the strategy to get in? Are you going to move with the South African businesses as they expand?
Yeah, yeah, certainly. There are certain clients that are opening up locations in various countries, so frontline states and further into West Africa, and Digital Media will be following them into those territories. So at this point, Airtel is one client that I think we have disclosed as a Pan-African client that we will be doing work for.
Right, and then from there, Muhammed, presumably remaining opportunistic, seeing further opportunities once you're in the market, whether it's West Africa, East Africa, going further.
I mean, Africa's got its challenges in any industry. I mean, the challenge in this industry is around things like infrastructure and connectivity. I mean, we're talking about content that gets delivered over Wi-Fi or 3G. I mean, so and you need kind of secure power, and but I mean, there will be pockets. So, for example, the KFCs in the neighboring countries like Botswana and Lesotho, and I mean, those will be kind of early adopters. We've seen some of the cell phone companies. Banks feel like the sort of industry where, a bank in East Africa looking to what some of the big banking groups are doing here. They've got in some areas the adoption of technology outpaces what we've got here as well. Yeah. So we think there'll be pockets. It will be slower, but yeah, follow your clients is always a good approach. We think.
Well, that's it. But I'm just going to sneak in a last question. Maybe Nthime, I can ask you: can we expect more deal announcements over the coming year? Have you got a good deal pipeline, investigating various options at this stage?
Our pipeline is looking healthy, but in this business, one thing that's certain is that you can never predict the outcome of transactions and predict when they're going to be consummated. Right. So our pipeline is looking healthy. We are quite busy, very interesting things. So you will expect some announcements, but I can't say when.
And I'm sure you'll have a similar answer, Muhammed. So
similar, you never know.
Exactly. Muhammed, Nthime, and Andrew, thanks so much for your time. Muhammed Moosa is from RMB Ventures, Nthime Khoele is from Bopa Moruo, and Andrew Ridl is from One Digital Media, and we spoke about the recent announcement of their deal. From me, Erika and the Deal Flow team, it's goodbye for now.